Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Sheviana Aisyiah, and I'm from the third group of Curriculum and Material Development. Other members of this group are Ihdal, Bayu, Pamungkas, and Saidah Ulfah. Now, we are going to explain about goals, content, and sequencing. Alright, first I will explain about goals. Goals of curriculum can be expressed in general terms and be given more detail when considering the content of the course. The curriculum design model has goals as its center. This is because it is essential to decide why a course is being taught and what the learners need to get from it. In developing goals for educational program, curriculum planners draw on their understanding both of the present and long-term needs of learners and of society, as well as the planners' beliefs and ideologies about schools, learners, and teachers. These beliefs and values provide the philosophical underpinnings for educational programs and the justification for the kinds of aims they contain. These are some examples of goals that have been set for language course. First, from Orbit, Horizon, and Menzies, the aim of communicative teaching is to encourage students to exploit all the elements of the language that they know in order to make their meanings clear. So, students cannot be expected to master every aspect of the language before they are allowed to use it for communicative purpose. Second, from Trio aims to sustain interest and motivation, help students understand and formulate the grammatical rules of English, and develop students' receptive skills beyond those of their productive skills. Third, Passage extends students' communicative competence by developing their ability to expand the range of topics they can discuss and comprehend in English, and speak English fluently and accurately. It means use an acceptable standard of pronunciation and grammar when communicating. From College Oral Communication Rumor, students continue to develop speaking and listening skills necessary for participating in classroom discussions with an introduction to oral presentation and critical listening skills. Having a clear statement of goals is important for determining the content of the course, for deciding on the focus in presentation, and in guiding assessment.
Content and sequencing consists of the language items, ideas, skills, and strategies that meet the goals of the course. The aim of this part of the curriculum design process is to make a list of the items to teach in order which they will be taught. In reading course, for example, reading text may be simplified at the beginning of the course and unsimplified at the later levels. First, sequencing the content in course. The lessons of a course can fit together in a variety of ways. The two major divisions are whether the material in one lesson depends on the learning that has occurred in previous lessons, a linear development, or whether each lesson is separate from the others. Second, linear approach to sequencing. Most language courses involve linear development, beginning with simple frequent items that prepare for later more complex items. The findings of research on memory by Badley, there are variations of linear progressions which try to take account of the needs repetitions. These include a spiral curriculum, matrix models, revisions units, and field approach to sequencing. A. Developing a spiral curriculum involves deciding on the major items to cover and then covering them several times over a period of time at increasing levels of detail. Maksud poin A di sini adalah sebuah proses belajar materi secara umumnya, kemudian mengerjakan materi yang sama dengan cakupan yang lebih rinci lagi, yang menuntut adanya pengulangan-pengulangan terhadap materi yang sama, namun diulang dengan pembahasan yang lebih luas dan lebih mendalam lagi. A metric model has similar advantage to a spiral curriculum in that there are repeated opportunities to meet and enrich important items. C. Revision units are simply an addition to a linear model. Basically, the activity of revising is more than repeating an item, such as revising or recycling old materials and suspending new materials. D. In a field approach, the item to be covered are decided upon, and then the learners can start anywhere with the material and end anywhere as long as it is all covered. While a field approach doesn't require as much initial planning as a spiral or metric approach, checking later that there will be sufficient meeting may take more time. E. A modular approach to sequencing. A modular approach breaks a course into independent non-linear units. These units may be parts of lessons or groups of lessons. So this is the summary of the steps in a modular approach to sequencing. First, you have to describe the goals of the course. Second, you have to decide on the unit of progression for the course. Third, choose and sequence the content of the course. And fourth, check the content against a list of other items to ensure coverage.
Now I'm going to explain about goals and content in language curriculum development. So the first one is about goals. Goals are defined as general statements concerning desirable and attainable program purposes and aims based on perceived language and situation needs. In delivering goals from perceived needs, there are a few points to be remembered. Number 1. Goals are general statements of the program's purposes. Number 2. Goals usually focus on what the program hopes and to accomplish in the future, and particularly on what the students should be able to do when they learn the program. Number 3. Goals can serve as one basis for developing more precise and observable objectives. Number 4. Goals should never be viewed as permanent, that is, they should never become set in command, which means it can change every time and depends on the situation. The process of defining goals makes the curriculum developers and participants consider or reconsider that the program's purpose with specific reference to what the students should be able to do when they leave the program. So, basically, the aim of goal is that it is the thing that the program has to achieve or what the program wants to get. The goals of a language lesson can focus on one or more of the following: language, ideas, skills, or text or discourse. It is possible to plan or evaluate the content of courses by looking at each of these 4 areas. Within each of these 4 areas, choices have to be made regarding the units for planning and checking the course. For example, in the area of language, the units may be based on vocabulary, grammar, and etc. And the way these smaller goals are detailed will depend partly on the unit of progression for the course. The units of progression in a course are the items that are used to grade the progress of the course. And then your question is that what is it going to be used? What will the progression be used for, right? So, however, units of progressions can be used for a variety of purposes, such as units progressions can be used to set targets and paths to those targets. And then units of progression can be used to check the adequacy and selection and ordering in a course. And then the last one is units of progression can be used to monitor and report of learners' progress and achievement in the course. And as I mentioned before, that one of the areas of language is vocabulary. So there is considerable frequency-based research that provides clear indication of what vocabulary learners would gain most benefit from knowing. This research shows strikingly the value of ensuring that learners have good control of the high-frequency vocabulary of the language. It means the program's goal is to make the students to be able to know, to memorize, and to use the vocabulary that they need in the language. The next is grammar. Many courses use grammar as the major unit of progressions, right? It means the program's goal is to make the students to be able to know and to use grammar as a role of a language. This course as the basis for units of progression is more likely to be used in pre-university courses where learners systematically cover a range of relevant genres such as recounts, information reports, and arguments. Attention to the element of spoken discourse, such as ellipses between speakers and negotiation of discourse, may occur early in language courses but is rarely the unit of progression for a course. And then the next is about skills, sub-skills, and strategies. Some courses use skills and sub-skills as their units of progressions. Reading courses, for example, may focus on skills such as finding the main idea, reading for detail, then note-taking, skimming, reading faster, and reading for inferences. And the last unit is ideas. A good language course not only develops the learner's control of the language but also puts the learners in contact with ideas that help the learning of language and are useful to the learners. The ideas content of a course can be about, number one, imaginary happenings. The course could follow the typical activities and adventures of a group of learners or native speakers. And number two, an academic subject. Example would be linguistic or the spatial purpose of the learner such as agriculture, tourism, commerce, or computing. Number three, learner survival needs. This can arise from just suggestions by the learners or investigation by the teacher. They may include topics like shopping, going to the doctor, getting a driver's license, and making friends. Number four, interesting facts. This might include topics like the discovery of penicillin, walls, and solar power. And then the last one is culture. Divide culture into aesthetic, which includes the study of literature, and sociological, which looks at norms or behavior and cultural values. So those 5 items are the things that exist in the contents in the ideas content of a course. The ideas content of the course has some functions that can help learning in the classroom because number one, the ideas content makes the learners interested and motivated in their study of the language. Number two, the ideas content encourages normal language use, that is, it involves ideas that can be talked about in a natural way in the classroom. Number three, it makes learning easier because the ideas are already familiar to the learners and they can give full attention to the language items. And the last one is the ideas content is familiar to the teacher and allows the teacher to work from a position of strength. Ideas content of the course increases the accessibility and usefulness of the course outside the classroom because the ideas content helps in the learner's job, study, or living. And then the ideas contents develops awareness of another culture or cultures. It may promote international understanding and it may encourage learners to accept the norms and the values of other cultures. The ideas content maintains and support the learner's own culture. The ideas content helps learners develop intellectually by making them aware of important and challenging ideas. And the ideas content helps learners develop emotionally and socially. And the last one is the ideas content of the course meets the expectations of the learners and their parents. So that's all our presentation today. Thank you so much for your kind attention and thank you so much for watching. And we are so sorry for our mistakes. And the last we say, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.